Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Shanice Lewis. Welcome to Keeping It 100 Coalition Conversations, the official podcast for the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Metropolitan Baton Rouge Chapter. Today we are shining a light on economic empowerment, dedicated to fostering financial literacy, nurturing business development, and creating pathways to wealth building opportunities. We'll share the community's initiatives and how the community can benefit from the upcoming programs. Up first, we have Dannielle Lewis, the Economic Empowerment Chair. How are you today, Dannielle?
Absolutely good and great. How are you today?
I'm good. So besides being the Economic Empowerment Chair for the Baton Rouge chapter, you are also on a national level. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I am a part of the Economic Empowerment Committee for the national level. That is an amazing experience. So I get to work with ladies from around the country to assist and make sure that we are doing what's necessary for the Black women and Black girls around the country and learn more about what's happening in other chapters to bring back more information into the Metropolitan Baton Rouge chapter. Not only that, but I work as a networking and communication strategist here in Baton Rouge. So I am assisting on the local level to get individuals out and making connections. So I am doing what needs to be done to get the empowerment out for financial literacy.
Absolutely. That's fabulous. And economic empowerment is important because nobody wants to be broke.
That is correct. That is
So
correct.
can you give us an overview of the Economic Empowerment Committee's current initiatives and goals for the upcoming year?
Absolutely. So, our focus this year is on creating tangible and lasting economic impact in metropolitan Baton Rouge. We are not just about talking about empowerment this year. We are trying to make sure that we are building real pathways. And we are trying to make sure we are building pathways to ownership, financial literacy, as well as making sure we are breaking generational wealth barriers. Our three main initiatives this year are towards financial literacy. We have a movement towards providing resources to help communities build wealth and financial security. We want to have the small business acceleration. So we've partnered with Southern University to make sure that the community at large knows about the resources and the opportunities that exist for the small business owners. And then we are advocates for economic policies. We are being the voice for the voiceless. And we want to give a louder voice to those whose voice actually gets muffled when it's time to talk about those matters of gender pay equity. And we are not just the committee. We want to consider ourselves a movement. And this year, we're making sure that everyone in our community has a seat at the table for economic success.
That sounds amazing. So, what specific programs or events does the community have planned to promote economic development in Metropolitan Baton Rouge?
So, our committee believes that economic empowerment happens through action, education, and access. So, this year we are bringing back the Buy Back the Block virtual event where we are dividing it up into two parts. We are going to have the Real Estate and Wealth Summit, and we're going to talk about that more in depth tonight. But we're also going to talk about the part that we haven't had since 2020. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that towards the end. And that's the LHC Home Buyers Certification Program, where the First Time Home Buyers Workshop is going to be presented this Saturday as well. And I'll talk again about that later on this evening. But we also have the Pay Equity Summit. And that's going to be divided up into two parts this year. So we'll have the part this on Friday where we have the networking in action, and we'll have the panelist part on that Saturday. So this year, like I said, we are not just about promoting economic empowerment. We plan on actually delivering it to our community.
Oh, the Pay Equity Summit is going to be 2 days this year?
2 days. We have a
Oh,
Friday part where we are going to teach you networking in action. We're not just about talking this year. We are going to put things into action and make sure that you are walking away with some steps to get yourselves to the next level.
so how can community members actively participate or benefit from these initiatives?
So that's actually a great question. So we need every voice, we need every skill, and we need every dream in the room, and we need your support, right? But you can do all of that through a couple of ways. You can attend our events, and you can attend the workshops. You can gain the direct access through the knowledge and funding opportunities that we have. You can do something that, like I like to bring out, invest in the movements that we have. You can be a partner with us. You can sponsor, donate, become an advocate, join the Buy Back the Block movement, learn how to own your own property, build generational wealth. But here, as a part of our community, one of the greatest ways that you can actually be a part of this is that you can take action, because economic empowerment doesn't happen from the sidelines. I like to tell my committee that it happens when people like you and I actually step in and we claim our power.
So, what are some success stories or impact stories from past economic empowerment events that you could share?
Well, Sister Shanice, I like to brag about my committee because we success runs in our DNA. So we got
All right.
success stories to prove all that. All right. So we've had single moms that turned business owners. We had one local mother of three that attended the business expo last year, and she became a six-figure business owner. We've
Six
had,
figures.
yes, baby, a six-figure business owner.
Oh,
She actually started an online business. We've had a participant from the Pay Equity Summit. She was an attendee, and she went back to her business, and not her business, her job, and she demanded, yes, demanded her salary to be increased, and she received her desired salary by using the tips that she learned throughout the salary negotiation panel, and she received that amount. Then I like to also brag and toot my own horn because I'm one of those success stories, because I received my DBE certification and received a government contract because of it. So our stories aren't just stories, right? We are proof that the economic power is possible when we are put with the right resources, when we have the right people in place.
okay. So we're not just socializing and going to brunches and parties. We're doing some real things over here.
Yeah, we putting the right stuff in place.
Right. So, in what ways does the committee collaborate with local businesses or organizations to support economic growth in the community?
So collaboration is always currency. And we like to work hand in hand with banks and financial institutions to secure funding, grants for small businesses, local incubators. They work hand in hand with startups. Like I said, we work with Southern University and schools to teach financial literacy to next generations. When we believe, when communities come together, that economic power isn't just an idea, it actually becomes the reality that the community gets to see.
And one of the local businesses that we collaborated with is coming up shortly to the stage, Antonio. Now, I don't know if it's cousin or cousin. I don't know if you're French.
Yeah.
So when you come on, you're going to have to tell me if it's cousin or cousin. But are there any resources or opportunities available through the committee that our viewers should be aware of to further their economic goals?
Well, right now, what we currently have is two scholarships. We have two scholarships. We have one for a high school student, and we have one for an undergraduate student who has passions in the business industry. So we definitely want individuals to apply for that. And we will be giving those out at the Royal Experience.
Okay. Oh yeah, you do have a
Mhm.
scholarship. I forgot all about that. Economic empowerment is really doing that thing.
Yes.
Y'all doing a lot of stuff. Um, so can you explain the concept behind the Buy Back the Block event and its significance for aspiring real estate investors in Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah. So, Buy Back the Block is more than just an event. I want to say it's a revolution, right? It is about transforming renters into homeowners. It's about taking investors and turning them into leaders. It's about making neighborhoods and turning them into lasting legacies. This initiative is going to teach people how to purchase property with little capital. It's going to take them and teach them how to leverage real estate for generational wealth. Is going to take them and teach them how legislation can impact property ownership and investment. You want to learn how to identify investment opportunities in the overlooked and dilapidated areas. Now, in Baton Rouge, it's not just about real estate, right? It's about ownership, how economic control is all about in real estate. And then it's about making sure that our communities learn how to thrive. So we want to learn how to do all of that with Buy Back the Block. People are just thinking that it's about going and getting these properties. It's about taking up and making sure that we are gaining control with this property.
And Buy Back the Block is so popular that it reached capacity and we had to open up more space for people to register. So if you tried to register and it said it was full, try again. We open up some more seats for Saturday due to the high demand of this event. So that's amazing that people are interested in getting this free information. So what can attendees expect from your panel discussion at the upcoming Buy Back the Block event, and how can they best prepare to make the most of this opportunity?
So, sis, listen, this panel is going to be a game changer. We have some show-stopping powerhouses in their own rights. We are bringing in seasoned investors. We have a dynamic lender. We have real estate developers. We have community lenders who are going to be dropping real actionable strategies and answers. And I want to say this to you when you come to the actual event and how you can be prepared. Come prepared to take notes and ask questions. And I tell this to people all the time. When you come and you're ready to take notes, when you show up, and if you show up unprepared, then you are choosing to remain in the cycle of poverty. Hear me, and I'm going to say this again. If you are coming there and you do not take notes and you do not ask questions, then you are showing up and you are choosing to remain in the cycle of poverty. The other thing I'm telling you is if you don't come prepared, that you are coming there without any goals and you are not coming there to reach your destination, because this isn't just a panel. It is going to be the blueprint for your economic freedom. And the question I'm going to ask you is that, are you willing to be in the room?
Well, you done knocked us out with the circle of poverty. I hope nobody wants to be in the circle of poverty. So y'all need to get it together and register for this event, because we have a lot of people that want us to stay in the circle of poverty.
That is correct.
So we're going to bring up one of the featured speakers for this amazing event Saturday, Antonio. Now tell me, are you cousin or cousin?
It's cousin like a relative.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, we in Louisiana, sometimes they get fancy.
Yep, absolutely. Look, Dannielle, you made me, when you said circle of poverty, I read this quote this morning and I had to write it down immediately when you said that, but it said, what you're not changing, excuse me, Lord, what you're not changing, you're choosing. So like if you're in that situation and you're not trying to change it, like you're choosing to be in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So that's what immediately came to mind when you said that. So I appreciate that.
Yes, so we are excited to learn about you and your company. So tell us about Service First Real Estate and what services you offer, and how does your company help individuals and businesses achieve their real estate goals?
So we are a residential and commercial real estate brokerage. We are 23 agents in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and we even have one in Hammond. So we basically service all of Southeast Louisiana. I started the company in July of 2020. So this is, I guess, what, 4.5 years now. So July make 5 years. Our slogan or motto is we value relationships over transactions. And the reason being is I'm sure y'all not aware of this statistic, but there's a statistic out there where the National Association of Realtors, they track home buyers and home sellers every year. And they survey these people and they follow them over a period of years. And so like as of now, the latest one they had was 2024. They track home buyers, and during the process with their agent, it was 80, I believe it was 84 or 83% of them said they would use their realtor again. All right. So now they track these people over the years, and only 14% of them use them again. A lot of them even forget their name after a year. And the problem is because a lot of realtors treat it as a transaction. Basically, they sell them the house, they get paid, and they go away. But I don't believe that. I feel like if you want to create a business that's going to last for the long term, you have to build that relationship, because every single person knows other people. So like, yeah, I may sell Shanice, I may sell you a house, and you may not buy another one for 10 years. That's fine. You know people that will be buying houses over those 10 years. So why not build that relationship with you? Because you're going to refer me, to those friends and family. So that's what I believe building a business on, and that's what we do.
So we were talking about getting people out of poverty. What advice would you give to someone who is new to real estate investment and wants to get started in Baton Rouge? Like, does it take a lot of money? If I'm listening and I'm broke, how am I going to buy a house to get out of poverty?
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention real quick. So one cool thing about the company, we donate to local nonprofits. So we give 10% of all our commissions. One of the proudest moments I had was I think it was Q2 or Q3 of last year. We give to the YWCA, and they built a 12-unit apartment complex for domestic abuse victims, women. And so we were able to donate to furniture. So we were able to furnish not the whole thing, but a lot of it. And that was one of my most proudest moments, to be honest with you, because we actually like given to the community, and we could see the results of that money going straight to them, as opposed to like going to Red Cross. And no disrespect to Red Cross, but it got to funnel down. We're giving money straight to the people, and we can see the results and what they're doing with it. Now, my bad. Let me go back to your question. So what I would do if I was starting out, honestly, I would get educated. And that's a problem. Well, that could be a hard part, but it's so many free things out there now, like podcasts. You can get a library card and, go to the library, get free books. I go to the library all the time. You can get apps on your phone where you could download audio books. So it doesn't have to be expensive. I would invest in going to conferences, doing different kind of courses, things like that. Putting the money in YouTube. YouTube is one of my favorites. I mean, everything is on YouTube. YouTube University. That's what I like to call it. There's a lot of information out there. But that's what I would do. And then I would try to find a mentor and just start. So my personal story, like I was exposed to real estate investing back in 2007. One of my frat brothers, he told me about this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In 2007, I just graduated from LSU and I moved to Dallas for a job. And I read that book and it excited me. It got me so motivated to want to get into real estate investing, but I didn't know where to go. If you're like me, you're probably the first in your family to go to college. You're probably the first in your family for a lot of things. That was me. So I didn't have anybody in my family I could ask like how to do this and how to do that. So from 2007 all the way to 2018, I ain't buy my first property to 2018 because I was scared. I let fear, stop me from doing it. I read every book, attended every conference. I was doing everything I needed to do, but I was scared to pull the trigger. And then in 2018, I decided to go ahead and do it. And I bought my first property. And that was what, 7 years ago, almost 7 years. So it was June of 2018. And to date, I own over 250 properties. Well, 250 doors. Yeah. So in a short 6.5 period time frame. So just imagine 2007, had I started back then when I knew that was the way to go, but I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have a mentor at the time. So I didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I had nobody to turn to. So right now it's way easier because now we have the internet. Everything is on the internet. You can ask ChatGPT for a lot of answers. Not all of them are right, but at least it'll give you a good start. So I would say,
listen, if you go into the class and you getting the resources, information, but you're ready to move forward, how much money do you need? If I got $50 in my account, can I come to you?
No, well, $50, you can't invest in a property per se, but you can invest in like a REIT, real estate investment trust. That's similar to like a stock, where you can buy a stock in Amazon, stock in Apple, but you can buy a share of a REIT that invest in commercial real estate across the United States. So that's an option. If you only have $50 is small as far as capital to invest in a real property. but that is a way, an avenue by going that route, because you can invest in, REITs for as low as $50. They have some that's less than that, but you still need to do your due diligence nevertheless.
And we got a question from the audience. What are some of your favorite YouTube channels and books, etc., to learn more about real estate? Yeah.
Mine. So I got a YouTube channel.
Oh, you have one.
cousin, as in my last name. Cousin Sells LA. And then also we could raffle some books actually. So I have 3 books. My favorite is this one. I released this one last year. It's Things They Don't Teach You in School. And so I'm a member of the 100 Black Men of Baton Rouge as well. And I teach financial literacy. Yeah. So it's funny because that screenshot you had with all the panelists. So Dannielle is my lender, my commercial lender. Donovan is my real estate attorney, and me and Rich teach financial literacy with the 100.
Okay.
Small world, how all that works. Yeah.
Family.
but the book, it talks about, so basically my ideal target in this book was let's say high school all the way up to young professionals that they want to get started but they don't know how. And so basically just give you the blueprint on how to get started, how to build your wealth. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like when you read it, you're not going to become an expert, but it will expose you and give you some things that you may want to look further on. I feel like that's the key for our community, is the exposure piece. We don't have that, and we didn't get that when growing up. So a lot, like I said, we're the first. Like I'm the first millionaire in my family. I'm not the last, but I'm definitely the first. We had another one that come right after me. Yeah, it's the exposure. Once one person sees it, then with the 100, our motto, what they'll see, they'll be. Like you just need to expose them to it. So I feel like just getting exposed to that, like me on this platform tonight, and people seeing this, like they're seeing that someone. I'm 41. I know I got a lot of grades, but it's the work. But just being exposed to it. They see it, they can do it too. I'm just a regular dude from New Orleans.
So how does the current real estate market in Baton Rouge present opportunities for investors? So
it's opportunities everywhere. What I will tell you what's happening right now is interest rates are high compared to the last few years when they were, 3-4%. Now they're 7%. So it makes it a little more challenging. And also insurance is high too. In Louisiana, we're dealing with a crisis where a few years ago we had, I want to say 34 carriers in the state. Now we only have 4. So what does that do? That causes the prices to rise because now, it's less people, more risk on those 4 carriers. So they're going to charge higher prices. So that's what we're dealing with right now. So that's messing up deals. But I mean, it's opportunities everywhere. You just have to kind of have clarity on what you want because there's so many different ways to invest in real estate. And that's one thing like I struggle with early on is like a deal will come by and I'll try to go after this deal. Another deal, I try to go after this deal, not knowing exactly what I wanted. So I would say there's so many ways to invest. You just need to have clarity on what it is you want. Do you want multifamily? Do you want single family? Do you want a wholesale? Do you want to fix and flip properties? There's so many things you could do. It's just a matter of figuring out exactly what you want and going after that, going that route, I would say.
Somebody in the comments want to know your YouTube channel so we can put it in the comments.
Oh, it's Cousin Sells LA. So cousin singular without an S, but it is an S on sales. So Cousin Sells LA. That's my Instagram too.
Okay.
My TikTok, all that.
So what are some common misconceptions or pitfalls that people should be aware of when entering the real estate investment market?
So I'll give you a couple. So one that comes to mind immediately is you must know everything to start. And I will tell you that is not true. A lot of times you do your research. I'm not saying don't go off on any knowledge and try to get it, but you got to just start. Like my mentor tells me, you got to jump out there and course correct along the way. Because like I waited 11 years. I could be so wealthy by now had I just started back then, but I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I would say you don't have to know everything to start. I let it's called paralysis by analysis. Yeah, I let that hold me back because I felt like if only I knew one more thing and that one thing I get it. And then if only I know one more thing, I kept doing that. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I would say. Another is you need a real estate license to invest in real estate. That is not true. Not true at all. You do not need a real estate license. I got mine because I wanted to be able to access the properties quickly without having to rely on a realtor. But you don't need one. In fact, if you do get a real estate license, you're going to be held to a higher standard because we have a code of ethics that we have to follow that investors don't have to follow. So you do not need one. And then the last thing I would say is a lot of people think you need an LLC to buy investment properties. And that's so not true at all. In fact, if you buy in your personal name, you're going to get a lower interest rate as opposed to if you're buying in the LLC, because they're going to charge more because it's more risky. So what I do a mix of both, but it just depends on the deal. But if I buy in my personal name, then I just quit claim. It's called a quit claim deed, where you could transfer ownership into the LLC's name. So when it comes to asset protection, the LLC owns it, but it's on my credit as a loan. You know what I'm saying? So I get the favorable terms if I buy it under my personal name. So I have the loan, 30-year terms, as opposed to a commercial loan in the LLC, that'd be a 20-year term. So you have a higher payment. So there's a lot of different ways around it. You just have to kind of like look at the deal and analyze it based on that, like what works.
So let me ask you a question. You said you have over 200 properties.
Yep.
So are some of I'm not in the real estate, so this might be a dumb question. So are some of the properties like rent houses?
All of them rent houses.
Oh, so do you have to go and give people rent, or you have, I mean, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
You have a company that collects everybody rent?
So there's the biggest is a 240 unit apartment complex. I'm not the only owner. We have a property manager that manages on site, that stays on site on the property. Well, not stay on there, but has an office, and they manage that particular property, collecting rent, vacancies, evictions, all that stuff. The other properties are local here. So Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Denham Springs, Donaldsonville. And those, I manage those. It's not as bad though, as opposed, because it's not as many, compared to 240 units. But there's a property manager that you can hire. There's property managers all over. If you feel like you physically don't want to have to interact with the tenant, so they don't know who you are, then you just hire a property manager and they'll do all the work for you.
Do you change any of them to Airbnbs?
I've never done short-term rentals, but I have clients who do. I just, I'm so busy with other things, I don't have time to do a short-term rental. When you do short-term rentals, like, it's way more hands-on. You know what I mean? There's more people coming in and out. You got to manage a cleaner. You got to manage if anything breaks or if they need something, they're going to call you, unless you get a property manager, which they do have those as well. But it's just something that I've never explored. But you can make a lot of money in short-term rentals because you're usually charging more than you would with a long-term tenant.
And do you ever rent or lease out commercial properties to, like, somebody wants a boutique or something?
Yep. So I actually, that's my favorite, because when you look at commercial versus residential, commercial is strictly numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. As opposed to residential, that's more emotional. So people buy on emotion. When it comes to commercial, does the numbers make sense? So like my first property was an office building, and I rent it out to this day. My brokerage is based out of there, but I have offices in there that I rent to a janitorial company and a doctor. So, I mean, I'm numbers. I run the numbers. If it makes sense, I'm gonna lease it out. But I represent people too, as far as like buying warehouses or leasing retail space, things like that. I can help with that as well.
So for small business owners looking to purchase commercial property, how can Service First Real Estate assist them in finding the right space?
Right. So when it comes to commercial property, let me just clarify what that is. So commercial property will be multifamily, that's 5 units or more. It'll be retail space, it'll be office, or it'll be industrial. So like warehouses. So I help with all those. And what I would do in this case is with business owners, right, that's looking for a space, I would sit down and find exactly, like, talk to the business owner, see exactly what they need, what they're looking for, what their needs are, and then go find a space. I mean, we have a database here in Louisiana where I could search through for commercial property. But a lot of times things aren't listed there. So you just have to network with other agents, because they may have something that's off market that they don't have listed in the database, or they may know of something that's coming about. So you just network. So basically just finding out exactly what that business owner needs and then go and find it.
Now, how can someone who is currently will want to transition from renting to become a homeowner get help from your company?
So I would say the first piece is the education piece, right? A lot of people get into this not knowing, what to expect when it comes to home ownership, because it's not just that monthly payment you're going to be paying. Things break, you're going to be responsible for it, as opposed to renting, where you could just call your landlord, right? So the education piece is first. Another thing is when I say first time home buyers, technically that means anybody who has not owned a home within the last 3 years. So you could have owned a home in the past and for whatever reason sold it, rented for 3 years, and then you're a first time home buyer again. So I'm bringing that up to say that they have a lot of grants out there, like free money that you don't even have to pay back if you stay in the home for a certain period of time. So I would educate,
You sure that's not about to go away?
Who knows with this? Man, don't even get me started. No comment. Oh my God, I can go down a rabbit hole with this one, but so who knows what's gonna be there? But as of today, there are grant programs out there. So I would connect you with a lender that has access to those funds and get you some free money. Who doesn't like free money? You know what I mean? And then one thing I want to point out though, another thing. So when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage, what lenders are going to do, they're going to look at your gross pay. So they're going to take what you make gross. They're not looking at net. Net is what you take home. So after you pay for, rent, car note, utilities, groceries, they ain't looking at that. They're looking at the big number. So a lot of times people get qualified based on this big number, and then they go out there and buy a home based on this big number, and then they're struggling. That's called being house poor. You don't want to be that. So I'm the type of person, I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to really make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, because I don't want you to buy a house, then you're struggling to make the payment, then you're coming back to me upset. I want you to be happy. You know what I mean? I want you to refer.
If they can't make the payment, what they coming back to you for?
I mean, you'd be amazed at what people think. Like, oh, he tricked me into buying this house. Not me, but others. I know he had. I don't want to be that guy. So here's another cool thing though. Like earlier I mentioned the high interest rates right now and the insurance. A great strategy, if I could do it all over again, what I would do is house hacking. Y'all familiar with that?
No.
Oh, let's talk then. This is like the best. All right. So essentially what house hacking is you buy a house like a single family, or you buy a multifamily and you rent out the units, or you rent out the rooms in a single family. So essentially what it's doing is it's substantially eliminating your housing expense, because taxes and housing are our biggest expenses. So if we can buy a duplex, rent out one unit, that's going to significantly decrease the amount of our housing expense each month, because the tenant is paying most of our mortgage. And in addition to that, I'm building equity. Every single payment I'm making, or the tenant is helping me make, is building equity. You know what I mean? So if I could start all over, that's what I would have did. I didn't know any better. I bought my first house in 2010, but it worked out really well. I bought a house it's in a suburb of Dallas, and then Warren Buffett bought 420 acres right by me, like less than 2 years after I bought mine. And then he developed it like crazy. So when I sold it, I made more than 6 figures on that sale. That helped me get started on my investment journey. So not all,
I heard that you could get like a huge house in Dallas for real cheap. Is it better prices there than Baton Rouge?
I ain't gonna say real cheap, because their property taxes are crazy high too. Like, so it offset, because the tax is like ridiculously high out there. But the houses, if you price point for price point, you can get a bigger house out there for sure. But you're gonna be paying crazy taxes.
So what are some key things home buyers and investors should look for when selecting a real estate agent or brokerage?
The main thing is you want to find somebody that's knowledgeable, obviously, and that you vibe with, because you're going to be dealing with this person a lot over the next month, 2-3 months, whatever, however long it takes you to find a house and close on the house. So you want to make sure you vibe with that person and they truly understand the process, and they're not just after a commission. There's a lot of agents out there that they just want to sell you a house because they want to get paid. Like, I've turned people down, not turned people down. I've helped my clients. Like, say for instance, I'm representing the buyer and I know it's not a good deal. We've gone through inspections and they found some things that I think wouldn't be good for my client in the long run. I'm gonna tell them that, because I ain't about the money. The money gonna come. The money is a byproduct of good service. So I take care of my people, I'm gonna get paid. I ain't tripping. So I would say just make sure the person is knowledgeable. If you come into an instance where you may meet an agent that hasn't been licensed long enough, fairly new, nothing's wrong with that. Just make sure that they have somebody supporting them and backing them up on their team that can help them with the process. I would say that, because you got to start somewhere, right? So you don't want to just say, oh, he's new, I don't want to use him. They may be a really good agent. Like, I had to start. I've been doing this 15 years. Well, April makes 15 years. So I have to start.
How you know a scammer?
You could tell. I got my gut. But another thing would be Googling them. Like, they should have reviews. Oh, this is a great one, actually. Homes.com. If you go to homes.com, you can type in any agent in the country, and they'll immediately tell you how long they've been licensed, how many houses they've sold, the volume, the average price, all that stuff for the last 1 year, 2 year, and 5 years. So,
okay.
Google me. Nah, for real though. I would say do some research. And look, a good example. This past December, I had a closing in New Orleans. It was a couple. they interviewed me. I was caught off guard. Like, it was a referral. So they were referred to me from a past client and they interviewed me. It caught me off guard because I ain't been interviewed. I don't know when the last time I've been interviewed. It was years, like years. And we got on Zoom and they started interviewing me. And I was like, damn, I had to perk up because I thought I was just having a quick little bias consultation because we met up, But yeah, I got the job, obviously, and I sold them a house and they're happy. But I would say just interview the person, make sure that you feel comfortable with them because you have to, deal with this person consistently for the next couple months.
Right. And so we know you can pass the interview and get the job done. So how can people connect with you and your team to learn more about your services to start their real estate journey?
So the website, well, you see it on there, but look, the easiest way to get to it is 225re.com. That's 225re for real estate.com. And my number's on the screen. I'm Cousin Sales LA, and that's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those. So it's easy to find me. As you can see on the screen, like my niche and who I love helping is people who have outgrown their current home. Maybe they have kids and they're running out of space and they need another home, but they don't know how to do it because maybe they have to sell this house to buy the new house. It's contingent on this house. I like to help those because I navigate that pretty cool. I got a good strategy, a system behind it.
And on here it said, get your copy of the guide. Can they get this guide on your website?
Yeah, well, that's actually on my Facebook page. If you just click on my cover, on the cover story, they got a link to the right. You just click that and you can download it. It's not going to ask you for no, your information. You can just download it free.
Okay. Now, before you go, I got to ask you a question off topic. Yep. Because you had a lot of good information with people saying you're dropping gems, good information. You came up here, told us how successful you were. You're nice looking. This is 100 Black women. We need to know, are you single?
No, you don't see this not big ring. You don't see this ring on my finger? Nah, I've been married, 14 years? Maybe 14 years. Yeah.
All right. Well, she is a very lucky woman to have somebody as experienced and financially stable as you.
Look, I appreciate that. I just thought of one more thing before I go. So about, August of 2020, me and a group of other people around the country, and we even had one guy in London, we started this group. And the group is on Telegram. It's a app, but we meet every single Tuesday night to talk real estate investing, and we teach. It's our community. It's about 600. Last time I checked, it was 683 people in the group. And so we meet every Tuesday night on Zoom at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7. And it's a different topic. And we go around rotating presenters and we just teaching. The whole purpose of that is just to give back to the community. So if anybody interested in that, I can add you to the group. It's no charge. It's none of that. It's all game, just giving away knowledge. So just send me a message.
Download the Telegram app.
Yeah, you have to download the Telegram app, and I can send you the link to get in the group, free of charge.
Well, good information. Good information. We appreciate you, and then we're going to have more on Buy Back the Block Saturday. So everybody, make sure you register because we have even more people with more insights and experience to add to this. Great stuff. Thank you so much. And I think Dannielle, you want to tell us about this other event too.
Yes. So before Antonio leaves, I want to say how I would say down home, cousin. Cousin, thank you so much for all dropping those gems for us. That was amazing. And I can't wait for all the information that you are getting ready to provide for us on Saturday. We look forward to all the information that you are getting ready to share. I think I'm more eager than some of the participants. Honestly, if you're going to drop more gems than what you did tonight, honestly, I think I'm going to be hyped up and have my notebook ready. But to talk about the property manager, Shanice, we actually have a property manager that's going to be on the call. So she'll be sharing information too. So they can tag team about that information as well. Sister Tamikia Jones is actually a property manager. So if he shares information about the property management part, she can tag team on that information and share her insight on that as well. So we have a little bit about it all on with our guests and our panelists, so we can talk about everything that's going to be needing to be shared from the investment piece. So thank you again, Antonio, for sharing your expertise this evening. We truly enjoyed all of your information.
Thank you for having me.
But I'm going to share about this in the other part, because we have not had Louisiana Housing Corporation since 2020. And it's going to be actually an honor and a privilege to have Miss Sonia Smith and her team facilitate the first-time home buyer education one-day webinar with us, where they will be actually handing off the certification, and it's going to be taking part on their platform. So we are going to have not only the investment part on our platform, but we are also going to be having the certification part being done on LHC's platform for us as well on Saturday. So from 9 to 1, if you know anyone that will be needing to get the certification to be able to get the document to get the down payment assistance for their first time home buyers program, you can have them sign up and register. They have to be registered for this program. Do so, because we want to pack out both sides. We were able to open up our side. We want Ms. Smith and her team to have that problem as well on their site also. So from 9 to 1, make sure that you all sign up and be on this seminar also. I want to, before we close out, send a special thanks to my amazing committee for all the work that they have put into making sure that both sides of this program is doing exactly what it needs to do. To my host committee sisters, Sister Bro, Sister Hendricks Johnson, and Sister Hines, thank you so much for making this event come to life. We want to definitely see you all on Saturday, and remember that the movement for economic freedom begins with us.
Well, that is amazing. A lot happening. This Saturday is all free. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight, and we will see more from you Saturday.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so thank you to my guests tonight, Dannielle Lewis and Antonio Cousin, for being on the show and all of the phenomenal work you do in the community. Stay up to date with everything we're doing at 100 Black Women by visiting our website at ncbwmetrobr.org. On our website, you can go to the bottom of the homepage, sign up for our weekly newsletter. You can also go to the menu if you want to give us a donation. You can click Economic Empowerment if you want to give a donation specifically for the Economic Empowerment Committee. And if you want to reach that committee, their email is sisternomics@ncbwmetrobr.com. So we're always looking for sponsors, and we're always looking for supporters for all of our many programs that we have coming up. And thanks again to my hosts. Not my host, my guests. But I promise you this, we will never have a Black man on this show that's a millionaire, and I not ask if he's single. So thank you again for tuning in. I've been your host this evening, Shanice Lewis, on behalf of the Metropolitan Baton Rouge chapter and President Courtney Hunt. Thank you for tuning in to Keeping It 100 Coalition Conversations. Until next time, be blessed.